Hello, I'm Harry Riley. Welcome to Harry's 10-Minute Tales. This is called Crisis at the Paradise Club by Harry Riley. This ghost story is fiction, and resemblance to anyone, living or dead, is coincidental. Gentlemen and ladies, we have a serious problem. As you know, in my mortal existence, I was vicar of this ancient parish church. Now, for the first time ever, the St Mark's branch of the Paradise Ghost Club is in severe crisis. Church attendances have collapsed in recent years, with the ungodly fashion for cremation. The diocese has put the church up for sale as conversion to a domestic dwelling, or to be demolished completely. It seems the present bishop has no consideration for our poor souls residing within these hallowed grounds. We are dead and forgotten, and so we don't matter anymore. Now, the way I see it is we have three options. A. We can go above the bishop's head and appeal directly to the late Archbishop of Canterbury. I can get his heavenly address off the internet, as I now have super fast broadband connection. He waited for the applause to abate before continuing. B. We can set up a protest committee and try and make contact with local mediums for their support. Superstition is still rife, alive and well in Nottingham, and communication with the dead is common practice. In my recent Google scroll, I counted at least 24 psychics in our area alone, and some of you may know them personally. Perhaps we could devise a clever stratagem to get our message across. Like, the spirit of Uncle Billy says save St Mark's or we'll all burn in hell. And lastly, we could take direct action and torment anyone who shows the slightest interest in purchasing this lovely old god spot. Now, any other ideas? What about haunting the bishop, your reverend sir? This idea was suggested by Lorna Tompkins, recently deceased, and one of the newest members of the club. A good idea, Lorna, and you don't need to address me as reverend anymore, now our earthly bodies have been dispensed with. For my sins, I'm chairman of our little allotment, so to speak, but still just another lowly worm cruncher like you. However, the bishop is fat and freaky. He is no fool, and would soon begin to smell a rat, so I think we'll put that one on ice for now. Anybody else? We enlist the help of other Paradise Club members in Notts and Derbies, or even nationwide. We could lay on a group phenomenon, perhaps start a lightning strike, create chaos up and down the country, the world even. This little gem came from Edward Blackwood, rising recruitment star and the vicar's young protégé. It was he who had originally replaced the recruitment coin on the ground, as Lorna Tompkins was on her way to work, causing her fatal collapse as she bent to pick it up. A brilliant suggestion, and it does you immense credit, my son, beamed the ex-vicar. We were invited to assist the miners in their epic battle with Maggie Thatcher. It was a shame the Nottinghamshire colliers elected to work through the strike, or we could have created real mayhem amongst the bobbies. However, we could not afford to upset our Yorkshire brethren, or we might have faced expulsion from the Fraternity of Souls, and I would have been defrocked. There's never been a defrocked clergyman in the Paradise Ghost Club. It's too humiliating to dwell on. So, is it agreed we go for Brother Edward's proposal and enlist national support for our cause? God's house should not be bartered for 30 pieces of silver, like some obsolete old banger. This is the thin end of the wedge. I've had enough of this decadent society. Why, I've even seen teenage males walk in the streets, exposing their thinly clad backsides, with their scrotum strangling trousers deliberately belted round their lower thighs. And the pint-swilling young women aren't much better, flaunting drunken, half-naked bodies for all to see. We don't just turn in our graves, we want to leap out of them in shame and disgust. A clear vote of approval for the last suggestion was given, and the meeting wound up. An email immediately being sent to the late Archbishop demanding instant action. It found a sympathetic ear, and the deceased high clergyman went nuclear, pressing the red button, calling on his spiritual friends all over the globe. with the result that strange events began to unfold. A little local difficulty was to have earth-shattering ramifications. The world's banking system failed, causing bankruptcy on a grand scale, and throwing millions out of work. Catastrophes in foreign parts had a direct link to the UK, owing to the volume of its own people travelling abroad. Volcanoes erupted, and poisonous ash clouds gathered over Britain and Europe. Hurricanes and tsunamis were reported in countries where they were previously unknown. Offshore oil rigs collapsed, causing widespread pollution. It was Armageddon. There was even talk in Britain of fixing the polls and electing a government of all the talents to quell panic in the streets. In the resulting turmoil, housing markets crashed and property values nosedived. Taxes soared sky high, and nobody could get loans anymore. So the St Mark the Great Church of Nottingham was withdrawn from the market, save for the time being, and dead souls were allowed to rest in peace a little longer. But decadence and corruption was rife, and the world held its breath, waiting for the next disaster to unfold. End.